Greetings everyone. Today I am going to discuss you all the topic morphology and word formation. It comes under the paper study of language 2. Now let us start the video. Morph. What do you mean by morph? Morph means shape. Morph means form. Any minimal phonetic form that has meaning is a morph. So any phonetic form, like here their examples are given. Examples are given here. Bus is sir cap. So it has its own meaning. It has its own meaning, but they also have their own meaning. So phonetic form, these are the phonetic forms, and has meaning, and morph means a shape. So these are the shapes. Any minimal phonetic form, any minimal, maybe the minimal of this very small phonetic shape that has meaning is called a morph. Now let's take morpheme. A minimal meaningful units of grammatical description is generally referred to as morpheme. So what do you mean by morpheme? Morpheme is also the same like morph, a minimal meaningful units of grammatical description, but that should be the unit of the grammatical description, the part of the grammar, and is generally referred to as morpheme. So it is called morpheme, which is a minimal and the meaningful with the unit of the grammatical description. It has its own grammatical value, so that is called morpheme. For example, English word unkind is made up of two smaller units, un and kind. These are minimal units, un and kind. So the word unkind, if we break unkind, then we find two segments here, un and kind. But un has its own meaning, kind has its own meaning. These are the minimal units that cannot be further subdivided. So we cannot divide kind, we cannot divide un. So these are not possible to divide again into meaningful units. So these are un and kind are two morpheme. These are the two morpheme. Now let's take a morpheme is a short segment of language that includes three things. So, what do you mean by morpheme? That we have discussed. Now, the morpheme is a short segment of language. It is the part of a language. It is a short segment piece of a language that includes three things. So, it includes three things. What are these three things? What are these three principles for the morpheme? First is it is a word or a part of a word that has meaning. So it should be a part of the word or maybe the word. This is the part of the word and maybe the word which has its own meaning, has meaning. So this is the first requirement for the morpheme. Let's take the second requirement. It cannot be divided into smaller meaningful part without violation of its meaning. So if we try to divide it further, the word kind, so kind will lose its meaning, it will lose its meaning. So we cannot divide it. If we try to divide, then the meaning will not come. Kind, helpful, dayalu, then the same meaning will not come if we try to divide. Okay, so the second requirement is it cannot be divided into smaller meaningful uh, parts without violation of its meaning. So if we try to divide, it will violate its meaning. So means it should not be possible to violate its meaning. We cannot violate its meaning. Third is it occurs in differing verbal environments with a relatively stable meaning. So it can be it occurs again and again in different verbal environment. Verbal environment means here the word may be noun, the word may be verb, the word may be adjective, it can be adverb, it can be anything. So it occurs again and again in different shapes, in different verbal shapes, with a relatively stable meaning, but then also its meaning will not lose, its meaning will be the same. Like here, for example, I am giving the word unpredictable, so the main meaning is here predict. Then predict is a verb, and I have made predictable an adjective, and the negative of predictable is unpredictable. So I have made a word from verb to adjective. So these are called verb to adjective. These are the different verbal environment with a relatively stable meaning, but it has a stable meaning, that is predict. So which cannot be predict, that is predictable. Okay, so here another example I am giving you. For example, the word unassailable is made up of three morpheme unassailable, each one of which has a particular meaning, distribution, and a particular phonological form or shape. So it has a meaningful distribution. How? Un has its own meaning, assail has its own meaning, able has its own meaning. So these are a particular meaningful distribution and a particular phonological form. They three have their own phonological form. So this word unassailable, this word is the example of morpheme. Okay, so these are the three things required for the morpheme.